Hello, it's the Halloween season, and of course, that means scary content for October. And, you know, my very first channel started out as a horror channel. And, if this channel turns out to be that, that would just be excellent. I would really love that. The idea I had for my first horror style content video is going to be talking about the most traumatic things that I can think of in media while I was kind of coming up with ideas and trying to dig into the recesses of my little peanut brain to think of some scary stuff to talk about. I ended up with enough content for maybe like 3 videos. So instead of having one long video, we're going to break this thing up to 3. This is going to be part 1 of things that scared the hell out of me. The closing credit sequence from Voltron, Defender of the Universe. So that's the original Voltron cartoon from the 80s, which I love in a way that, most people will never understand. However, one thing I always remember is hearing that just awesome, triumphant, amazing theme song. It's one of my favorite theme songs of all time. But when you get to the very end of it, it has the logo tag for the production company, and it's got this creepy sound, and it actually sounds kind of like the sound of the vultures, where the Voltron squad is on that prison.
Throw the space explorers in the tower dungeon and guard them securely.
It's like you're enjoying the cartoon all the way through. When they fight the roe beast, that's a little intense, but most of the Voltron show is pretty upbeat, it's pretty positive, and nothing scary about it. However, when you get to that final logo sequence with that creepy sound effect, oh my God, it just always would leave me with this unsettling feeling like, ugh. So as a child of the 80s, there was a few things that you just saw everywhere. You saw He-Man, you saw Thundercats, you saw Ghostbusters, you saw Gremlins, and holy shit, did you see a whole lot of E.T. stuff.
Wind this guy up, he walks. Almost like the real E.T. My kids really love their E.T. toy.
E.T. was one of those movies that I think everyone that I knew either had a copy of it or we borrowed a copy from one of our friends or family members. And I remember as a kid, I never really got that film. And partially, I think the heartwarming aspect was totally lost on me because I found the alien to be hideous. When I would even be like at a yard sale or a store and I would see E.T. merchandise and I look at that thing, look at that thing. This ugly piece of shit is like what you're supposed to be enamored with this. Is that right? See, I don't understand that at all. I find E.T. to be hideous, disgusting looking. He just is unappealing in every possible way. And, the first time you actually see the alien in the movie, that sequence, it's shot just like a horror movie. You get jump scared by the alien and everything. And of course, he is absolutely hideous. He's scarier than just about, and I'm just saying, almost anybody you will ever run into inside of a Walmart. I want to talk about a movie that is so near and dear to my heart. When I was a kid, I had an uncle who lived in North Georgia that used to show me some of the most awesome movies I'd ever seen in my life. He was a big James Bond fan, but he also had a copy of Clash of the Titans. And holy shit, I had never seen a Ray Harryhausen film before, and I had no idea how amazing clay animation, stop motion animation can be in an actual serious film. I'd seen some stop motion animation in children's productions like Pee-wee's Playhouse and stuff like that, but this was the first time I'd seen it in an action movie. And the climax of the movie, well, I would say the last really intense sequence of the movie, our hero has to fight Medusa. And there is something about this sequence that creeps me out so bad. For one, in the story, you cannot look at Medusa. You cannot even look at her, or you will get turned to stone immediately. It's not even like she doesn't just have to lock eyes with you. It's like Perseus can't even look at her, right? It's creepy because of the level of danger I think that's involved. It's probably the most dangerous thing that's happened to him in the entire movie so far, is having to sneak around in this like area where this Gorgon is who can kill him instantly. And aside from that, Medusa, of course, is completely stop motion animated. And with stop motion animation, the movements are very uncanny. The creature is hideous in all the perfect ways. But as a young child, this scared the piss out of me. I know I already mentioned a lot of the wonderful stuff that we got to experience in the 1980s. And of course, Ghostbusters, like I said, was one of those things. And I loved the real Ghostbusters cartoon. It was a little further on that I got to see the actual original movie Ghostbusters at my grandmother's house. And oh boy, like literally the first ghost that they run into is just one of the scariest damn things I've ever seen in my life. And I remember after that first time of seeing the library ghost, I would just cover my eyes and or close my eyes and put my fingers in my ears because I just didn't want to experience that anymore. And I remember the first time that it happened when I was not expecting it. It was one of those moments where I just like froze in panic. And I just, I could not move, I couldn't react. And I will never forget that day when I was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years old and being absolutely traumatized by the first effing ghost of the movie. It's a funny thing when you grow up in the mid to late 80s, because also I'm very much a 90s kid. I'm very nostalgic for the 90s. I'm actually probably more nostalgic for the 90s than I am the 80s. And a big thing about growing up as a kid in the 90s was that Nickelodeon was awesome. Nickelodeon had like really come into their own, and they had a bunch of really great shows. And Snick was the epitome of, Nickelodeon content for somebody my age at the time. And every Snick, you got an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? A very cheesy horror show. I will say that it did have its moments of a little scary, a little intimidating for a young kid, right? But I will tell you this, I don't think anything in the show comes close to how scary the music and the opening sequence is. I can hear that music, and I can hear that creepy singing. I can see the clown in the attic. Like, oh my God. It used to be where when Snick would come on, I would like leave the room to go get something to drink, or I would go see my grandma, or anything else, anything other than be in that room when that opening sequence starts. And when the show started, I was fine. But for that opening sequence, I didn't want to look at that clown. I didn't want to hear that creepy music. No, thank you. We're going to talk about another show. There's a lot of them. Another show that I used to watch exclusively when I was staying with my grandparents. Because my grandparents had cable. In fact, they had the special cable, which included the best channel ever, HBO. And, later on, you find out that HBO is pretty goated because they brought us shows like The Sopranos and Oz. But oh my God, as a kid in the 90s, the best show was Tales from the Crypt. Holy shit. What an amazing show. For somebody who loved horror, loved creepy stuff, loved anthology stories, it does not really get much better than Tales from the Crypt. And I remember really enjoying the level of intensity that that show had. Going back and watching it as an adult, it's very corny. It's very lowbrow, you know. I would say that Tales from the Crypt is sort of like the trashier, sleazier version of the Twilight Zone, and I am 1,000,000% okay with that. But what I will say is that there was a particular episode of Tales from the Crypt that did traumatize me as a young kid, and I definitely was not old enough to be watching this shit, but I did it anyway because damn it, when you're a real horror fan, that's the way you roll. And the episode I'm talking about is the one where Andrew McCarthy is in love with Muriel Hemingway, and she does not give a shit about him, but he eventually gets a love potion, and it's a classic story. You get the love potion, the woman falls in love with you, but she is way too in love with you, which in fact was also the basis for a Twilight Zone episode. So for anybody who was going to slap that down in the comments, Daddy already took care of it. Don't worry about it. Just like and comment on something else, and subscribe if you like this video. Anyway, the episode is about Muriel Hemingway taking the potion, becoming obsessed with Andrew McCarthy to the point where it's driving him nuts and he wants to get rid of her. Okay, great. However, the twist is that he is trying to give her poison, and she accidentally swaps cups because hers is dirty or hers is clean, and she wants him to have the clean cup. So she swaps their cups. He drinks the poison and dies, but he's okay because this is pretty twisted ending actually, because he's not mad that he's dead because at least he's away from her, right? So he's fine. He's in heaven and he's all happy and shit. And then out of nowhere, she fucking comes out of the clouds, just pops up behind him, and she's like, "Oh, my darling." And her face is totally just ripped to pieces. Like she looks so, oh my God, like having that just pop up out of nowhere it's traumatizing. That's the word. That's the best word you can use. And she's talking about, "Oh yeah, my love. When I saw that you died, I threw myself out the window." So that explains why her face is just ripped to shreds. My God, I will never forget just being in that room by myself in the dark, having that ending come up. And again, it was one of those moments where you get like a chill up your back, all of your skin like goes cold, you get goosebumps, you can't move, you're just, oh. And you know, going back and watching it now, yeah, it's funny. It is. It's really funny. But when you're a little kid, hell nah. One of my favorite shows is The Simpsons. I would say that for most people, that's probably true. I would hope so, at least. The Simpsons Halloween specials, I'm sure somebody is expecting me to say that. No. In my opinion, the scariest moment that I can think of from that show is from a regular episode, actually. Mr. Burns gets shot, and at the end of the episode, Dr. Hibbert is laughing to himself. You know, Dr. Hibbert's and he says, "I can't think of anybody who could solve this mystery." And then, oh my God, I get chills just thinking about it. Just talking about it right now, I just felt like chills go up my shoulders. But he's like, "I can't think of anybody that could solve this mystery." And then he looks straight at the fucking camera and he goes,
"Can you?"
And I don't know how to explain it, but it's like that wall-eyed look on his face where he just looks straight at the camera, straight face, no expression. It's like this very uncanny breaking of the fourth wall. And I will tell you, I've actually considered making a video of just fourth wall breaks because I just think that a lot of the times people break the fourth wall to be like cute and funny. Look, everybody, I'm talking to the crowd like Ferris Bueller. But sometimes a fourth wall break is really creepy. And I swear to God, every time I watch Who Shot Mr. Burns, my body starts to tense up a little bit for that moment where Dr. Hibbert looks straight at you. And of course, the joke is that they cut and he's actually talking to Chief Wiggum. But for that instant, he's talking to you. That's the part I will never forget. I'm going to talk about a film that I love. Many of you, I'm sure, also will agree with me on this. That movie is The Evil Dead. Now, when I was younger, there was a small group of films that actually gave me real chills, like really gave me the creeps in a major way. You know, like when I was a kid, I watched Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Those movies aren't scary. They're entertaining. They're very entertaining, but they're not scary, right? And Evil Dead 1 has a lot of creepy imagery. It's got a lot of creepy, uncanny looking stuff. It's got some pretty wild crap in it. But the moment that really bothered me, like really bothered me on like a primal level, was the part where they had the woman in the basement and, you know, she's attacking one of the people and they get out, but they manage to lock her in the cellar. There's something about the fact that they're in the house, they're trying to figure out what to do, but then you'll look over and she's pushing up the little door to the cellar and she's like watching you the whole time. And it is so creepy to me, just the idea that you're in a house, you're safe, right? But just imagine you're in your house and you're safe, but there is this one monster or a maniac, a crazy person, and they're just locked in a room. The only thing between you and them is a piece of wood, and that's pretty disturbing. And there's something about that presence of just having her there. I was really feeling what the characters were feeling, maybe even more so. And I just remember just being so freaking scared. And I just was uneasy the whole time that monster was in the cellar. It just, ugh. Oh, snake. Holy jeez, fuck. Here we go. All right, this will be an easy one. All right. Okay. We're down to the last two things that I'm going to talk about in this video. And number two is a extreme moment of trauma for me. I have a actual full story to tell regarding this entry. So, you know, make your popcorn, get your Coke, saddle up, and let's get ready to go. So when I was younger, I lived with my dad and I had a television in my room. A lot of the times I would sit up at night, I would work on things, I would organize my room, I would draw, read a book, whatever, but I always had the TV on. I was a fan of sitcoms. I loved all kinds of shows. I watched 227. I watched Different Strokes. I watched Sanford and Son, and Sanford and Son was one of my favorites. Right. Well, Sanford and Son was an interesting show regarding its time slots where I lived, and sometimes Sanford and Son would be on really late at night. Like sometimes you could watch like Saturday Night Live or something. And then Sanford and Son would come on after Saturday Night Live. So you can imagine how late that is in the night. And I remember one night I was in the bed. I had the lights off. I was just relaxing in the bed watching Sanford and Son. And the opening sequence came on with that amazing song we all love. And, you know, a lot of sitcoms, they play the opening sequence and then what do? They cut to a commercial, right? So the opening sequence comes on. I'm like, ah, damn, I wanted to hear some jokes, but that's fine. We'll go to commercial. So we go to commercial. The commercial breaks are playing. That's fine. And then, oh my God, I'm getting chills already talking about it. Then it happened. A commercial starts up where you can hear this guy talking, and he sounds a little evil, actually. Sounds a little sinister. And you can't see him. He's really far back in the dark. But what he's talking about is he's talking about getting you into drugs. He's talking about what drugs will make you do. It'll make you lie to your parents and cheat your homeboys and stuff like that. And I remember thinking like, woo, this is ooh, where is this coming from? Like, this is not a commercial for Tide or Zest soap or anything like that. It's a PSA. It's a public service announcement. It's an anti-drug PSA. However, the guy keeps getting closer and closer to the camera, and it starts to, oh God, I'm getting chills really bad now talking about it. So the guy keeps coming closer and closer to the camera. I'm having to talk through the chills. I'm getting full body chills right now. He's walking closer and closer to the camera. And the closer he gets, he tells you like his name is Snake and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then you can't see him really well. He's still a little obscured by the darkness. And he's also like walking behind these like pillars, like you're under a subway or something like that, right? And then he pops out from behind one of them, and he is a snake man. Like, he has transformed, because the silhouette at the beginning of the PSA, he looks like a regular dude. But by the end of it, he is a snake. He's right in your face. They have this scary ass effect on his voice.
Do I look like the kind of guy that would do that to a kid like you? Yes.
And it is so creepy. I remember when I saw it, that was another moment in my life where I was frozen. I was frozen solid in the bed. Like, I couldn't close my eyes. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. Nothing. And I just remember being like, well, I'm not going to go to sleep for the next 4 or 5 hours, I'm sure. And I remember even when Sanford and Son came on, I could not tell you a single joke that happened. I couldn't tell you what the episode was because my brain was permanently screwed up from the snake PSA. Damn you people.
Yes.
If you thought the snake PSA was bad, this one was even worse, because this one actually affected me for a while. I know it was at least a month that I was not comfortable walking around in my house in the dark. I was not comfortable looking around a corner. I was not comfortable opening the shower curtain to get into the shower because I kept seeing this face. This is the face that I was seeing in my mind all the time. I didn't even want to go look at a mirror. If I was in a bathroom where there was a mirror, you better flip that light on and have it really bright, because if it's dark, I'm gonna see that face in the mirror. Okay. Scared shitless does not even begin to describe the level of horror I got when I watched Mulholland Drive, directed by David Lynch. You may look at this image, and I don't know, if you've had the same experience as me, you know exactly where I'm going. If you haven't, let me explain. Early on in the film, there are two men who are sitting in a diner, having a good little buddy chat or whatever. And one of the guys starts describing a nightmare that he had. The nightmare is about seeing a man behind the restaurant, and he's sitting in the restaurant, but he can see the man. Like, he's having some kind of like sight beyond sight, like Lion-O, right? The guy says that he can see that face, and this was in a dream he had, right? He proceeds to tell his buddy, you know, everything that happens. He says, you know, you get up, you go to pay for our food. We're in this very diner when it happens. And I look at you, and I'm already nervous because I know that man's back there. But then I look at you, and you look scared too. And that makes me even more scared. And then before you know it, his buddy gets up to go pay for their food. I'm getting chills again, by the way. His buddy gets up to go pay for the food. And he turns and looks at Buddy, and what is he doing? Oh yeah, he's looking really, really scared. Yeah, so now you see what's going on. The dream is coming true. The dream is real. And every little thing starts to happen. His buddy says, look, there ain't nothing going on behind the restaurant, bro. It's a dumpster. That's where they put trash. There might be some roaches, maybe some rats. There is no old, scary monster man back there. So he says, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna take baby back here so you can calm down and, you know, change your diaper, right? But they get up and they start walking back there. And me, as the viewer, I'm thinking to myself, oh my Jesus, this is about to go down. It's about to go down. And when you're watching the film, part of you is like really hoping, please God, don't let anything be back there, because I just can't handle that right now. Let me go ahead and point out for you, that I was watching this film by myself in the dark, and it was extremely late at night. So that definitely contributed to my my unease and my nervous film watching experience. And they keep walking behind the restaurant. They're walking very slow, and the way that it's shot and edited, you know, they see the corner. There's a brick corner. They see it, and then they cut back to them, and then they cut back to the bricks, and then they cut back to them, and they just keep doing it. And you keep seeing that corner, and you're like, please, please do not let anything come out. Do not let anything come out from around that corner. I just can't handle that right now. I just can't. And so I'm as nervous as the man in the movie is. It's a very meta experience. And then at the very last second, the scary man behind the dumpster pops out. And the sound effect is scary too, because it sounds almost like a large, like sliding bay door or something. It's got this kind of sound. And that's just the sound that they basically like overlay the man coming out. So you got this creepy sound effect with this hideous looking person who I later found out was a female actress. And my God, did they ever pick the right person to play this role? Because I was not right for at least a month after watching this film, and I still consider it the scariest thing I can think of in any David Lynch film. And David Lynch films have a lot of pretty creepy stuff, actually. But for me, my number one pick, at least for this video, is the dumpster man from Mulholland Drive. And I'll say this too, the whole rest of the movie, I was scared that that son of a bitch was going to pop back out at some point. And I was uneasy the entire film. And I had to like watch the movie and then go back and watch it again, because I was so nervous about the dumpster guy that it was hard for me to concentrate on the story. And spoilers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The dumpster man does show up, and yes, I got chills and almost pissed myself a second time during the movie. So yeah, it's really great. And I need to point out that when I watched Mulholland Drive for the first time, it was not when I was a little kid. I was like in my 30s, and it scared the shit out of me. So pretty interesting feeling to be able to get the shit scared out of you when you're 30-something-year-old man. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've got enough material to do at least 2 more of these, and I really hope that it gets a good response, because I'm really planning on going hard with this. If this turns out to be a horror channel, I would be just immensely excited to do that. I love talking about spooky crap and scary, weird stuff. It's one of the loves of my film watching and TV show book reading existence as a human being. Anyway, thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I really hope you take the time to like, comment, subscribe, and share it with some of your friends if you think they'll like it. Have a good day, and have a happy Halloween.